fascinated me when I was making my films, because I make films which I really feel like making, and I don't bind myself with commercial. I never like to make films which has a commercial producer to it. So that's why I've just completed a 7-hour film, which is getting released in the US. We don't have theaters which can screen 7 hours film in India. And I don't know how many people would like to watch 7 hours films also. But having said that, when I began my journey of making films, when I came out of FTI, and even when I was making commercials, one of the things which really dawned on me was when I encountered my meeting with Martin Scorsese, and that association over the period of many years when Scorsese was shooting. I think he was shooting Gangs of New York or one of those films, I remember, when he was talking to me about how he and Steven Spielberg and Francis Ford Coppola, and now, of course, you've got a whole lot of younger directors like Christopher Nolan and so many of them, Wes Anderson, so many of them, who have been so passionately involved in film preservation. In fact, they look at themselves as archivists. And that's what's extraordinary, that India has produced some of the greatest filmmakers. And I am ashamed to tell you that I don't know how many of them care about our history or heritage. And unless you are able to look at yourself, and when you spend time with Chris Nolan, which I did when he came to Mumbai or when I spent time, his knowledge on history, I cannot tell you the way he talks about cinema as it needs to be preserved. You really feel, is he a filmmaker or a historian? And that I encountered with each one of them. When I spend time with Alexander Payne in Bologna, when I'm in the committee, he is sitting at the back row making notes of every film, even though his last film didn't do too well, but his Descendants or any of those big films, Sideways, which have done massive at the box office. But he always looks at himself as a student. Or Steven Spielberg, after so many years, the most iconic filmmaker, he loves to be called a filmmaker, but more importantly, he looks at it from being called a film historian and archivist. And that is what started the whole process in me to think about film preservation. And unfortunately, today in India, as we club it, we love to club people to say only one thing. Have you done the real thing? What is the real thing? Make a Bollywood film with a Bollywood actor. That is filmmaking for them. If you're doing anything else, if you're making documentaries, you're making your kind of films, independent films, regional films, that's not the main thing. And this is the illusion which film preservation has suffered in India deeply. So, I'm often asked why I needed to start a foundation to save a film. I started Film Heritage Foundation in 2014. Do films need to be saved at all? With millions versions across, there's so many across all media, surely films will survive in some form or the other. You don't need a foundation to do it. Many leading filmmakers in the country have said to me that their films are preserved on YouTube, cloud, DVDs, hard disks, and there's so many versions, as I said. More fundamentally, I'm asked, are films important enough in the larger scheme of things that need attention and warrant this kind of energy and time and money to save them from posterity? In a country which is obsessed with cinema, there are very few, including the film industry, who really feel that films are worth saving for the future. Because whenever I go and talk to people, we need to save films. We need to look after films. We need to do that. They said, oh, you're talking about films? People are dying. People are doing this. There's no water. There's no money. And all great civilizations have survived only by the fact that the culture survives first. No civilization in the world, even in the African countries, if you look at it, and I have had personal experience from countries like Burkina Faso in Africa, they have a very strong film heritage movement. Or when Ghatak's great film called Titash was supposed to be restored, it was the Bangladesh which restored it, or Burma, or even smaller countries. You know, it's just amazing that a country which produces the largest number of films, and I'm going to give you statistics, and I'm also going to talk about what is digital preservation. When you're talking about independent filmmakers, what does digital preservation actually mean? You will be amazed that we hardly save not even 1% of our heritage. And we keep losing so much every year. And this is not just with feature films. When I wanted to save Gandhi's Dandi March, which was the only surviving footage of Gandhi doing the Dandi March, the answer from the government and the people were, Richard Attenborough's Gandhi is there, why do you need the real thing? And that's how we look at films, which is very sad. And one of the key things is that when you talk about film, which is actually a medium to express, the immediate association of people around India is Bollywood, business, mass entertainment. We only see commerce and fail to see the art. But what about the documentaries, the experimental films, short films, newsreels, propaganda film, television series, home movies? Now you have Netflix. What about that? That makes fabric of our film heritage. And I'll give you two very interesting incidents. I was in Telluride Film Festival. Telluride is in America. If any of you have heard of Telluride? Anybody? It's one of the most important film festivals. It's a prelude to a film winning an Oscar. So lots of films which are screened at Telluride go on to win an Oscar at that. And I was at Telluride, and in the end, there was a group photograph with the main. And there was a girl from Southeast Asia who had made a 5-minute film. And in that, there was Werner Herzog, there were other big filmmakers all. Not even once did anybody say that she's not a filmmaker. She was kept at the same power because her film was selected. So she is a filmmaker. It doesn't matter whether you make 5, 1, 2, 10 or 30. And that's the difference. I was a member of, I was invited to Calcutta Film Festival to show my documentary. And when I landed, I asked them, why am I put in the hotel near the airport? And if people are from Calcutta or you know about Calcutta, staying close to the hotel, to the airport, the distance between that and London is nearly 1 hour. And they said, the real filmmakers are kept there. Because documentaries are not regarded as filmmaking. It's regarded as some kind of a rubbish which you're making, and you're treated as badly as that. And that's the tragedy in India, that we do not give representation of understanding film. Film is a medium of expression, and you can choose it the way you want to do it. And any medium you choose, whether it's fiction, non-fiction, short film, it's up to you, but it's an important audiovisual heritage.
If you have liked our video, kindly subscribe. Press the bell icon so that you can get notifications about our latest videos. Like and share our video.